Hello, time travelers. I'm here this week to give you tips and tricks part 2 for Stable Diffusion and automatic1111 to help you save time with your generation so you can find something fantastic or interesting without having to waste your life away. This is my look of disapproval. So if you haven't seen my previous video, the tips and tricks part 1 video, you can click here to see that. Maybe you want to watch it before watching this video, or maybe you want to watch it after watching this video. I don't care, I'm not the boss of you. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 different tips with little bits of other tips that I thought I should mention that I discovered as I was working on this video. And the first tip is about different ways to save prompt ideas that you find on Civet AI or other places, and ways that you probably haven't heard of before from other YouTubers. I've got these 3 examples, 1, 2, and 3. And the first way is you go down here in the corner and hit copy generation data, like that. I'll just open up a new tab of Stable Diffusion. Loading. Well, that's because I have all these other things I did to prep for this video already loaded in memory. All right, here we go. I just pasted it in. And once it's pasted in, you hit this little down to the left arrow. And there you go. When I generated that one, it came out like this. Totally weird. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So my recommendation is if you want to make one for a specific character or like an actress, like I have done videos about how to train Lauras for actor faces. And I was doing Millie Gibson. And I did a locon for Millie Gibson, so I made a folder to put my prompt ideas in. She's a new actress on a TV show that I am obsessed with called Doctor Who. Here's what she looks like. Keep that in mind. That's where this whole thing started. It's not where it ended up, but you gotta start somewhere. You gotta get your creative juices flowing. And I downloaded all 3 of those images and put prompt idea in the beginning of the file name. I also drop the picture in here like that, and then hit this button over here, because sometimes you'll see different stuff. Like, look at this one. If I drop that in, I get nothing. Why? I don't know. So go to it on Civet AI, go down, hit the copy generations button, go back over here, paste it in, hit that, and it fills it out. Why is it doing that? Sometimes you can look at these and see that they've made it in comfy UI, and sometimes it doesn't tell you, but that's probably what happened. And here's a third thing you can do, is you can hit the copy generation data button right here, just like that. Go in your folder, right click, and if you're on Wind Blows 11, you have to hit show more or whatever that button is at the bottom, and then hit new, and then text document. And then I like to hit F2 on it and rename it and call it prompt ideas. And I say, okay, I got 3 ideas, 1, 2, and 3. And if I paste in number 3, it looked like this. So I know that's a positive prompt and that's a negative prompt, because that's how it did it for some reason. But ones that are actually generated with Stable Diffusion have it all jammed together like this, as one long line of text. And there, I'm going to Control C to copy that. Go over here and paste that into the top box and hit the left down arrow. And it fills out all this stuff for me. So I'll show you my path of progression of figuring out stuff from this one. Put that one back in there so you can see it. I wasn't even paying attention till later, but then I discovered this guy has got a weird embedding in a negative prompt, and when I Googled it, there was no result. So it's one he trained himself, probably. Him or her, or they, which makes me show my look of disapproval. You show off artwork on Civet AI. Civet AI is a collaborative website. It's not Facebook, where you don't tell people your prompt or give away your embeddings. But then I noticed over here they're using Paradox 2 SDXL. And the cool thing is that they were able to get a wisp of smoke to look like a person, right? So when I put their exact prompt and used that checkpoint model, it did this. But this is the result of me adding my Emilia Clarke Laura that I trained for SDXL. This is the best generation so far. I think it looks amazing. The next one I worked with was quite disappointing because I don't know what they did to make it look like this. They used this glitch WPad Laura, which I went and I found it. I was at Civet AI and just pasted the name of it in there, and it came up. And they're using the same image there. So I downloaded it and tested it, and this is what came out. So check this one out. This one has a prompt box just for the upscaler where they put a different weight on the glitch LoRa than they did up here. Because earlier this said a different number when I was testing it and I had a 1 there. Ignore that. Let's erase all this out, put the picture and drop it. Click that. It shows up there, right? But if I copy all their prompt information, clear this out so you can see what I mean. It doesn't show up there. So this introduced a new concept to me. So I could put a different prompt in the high-res upscaler? What? And I read it, it says prompt for high-res fixed pass. Leave empty to use the same prompt as the first pass. So this is the same as how a detailer works. Like you can have it just use your prompts from up here, or you can change it by typing something in there. So I'm gonna show you how to add these if you want them, because the only way to get them to appear otherwise is to drop someone else's picture in there. You go over your settings, way over here, and look for user interface. And hit Control F, it's gonna bring up the search box on the bottom left for Firefox. I recommend Firefox because it's not as much of a resource hog as all the other Chromium-based browsers, which is all of them. They're technically WebKit, even Safari is WebKit, even Microsoft Edge, but their search box is up here. And what you wanna type in there is show high-res prompt, show high-res prompt, and negative prompt. So it's like 3/4 of the way down. If you don't want to Control F and search for it, you can even have it use a different checkpoint and sampler selection for high res. But just check that and hit apply settings and then reload UI. I later figured out that they were combining the glitch with art style from this person. So if I go to images.google.com and put art style and then paste in that person's name, you can see what that looks like. Okay, that's very interesting how Stable Diffusion would interpret that. But for me, this is the best I got. So I tried increasing the weight of the glitch with an XYZ test, and it went like this. I'm like, all right, that's pretty wild. I might want to do 1.7 or 1.8 or 1.9, right? So then I added the LoRa I was working on, and it still looked like this person's face, even though this is my Millie Gibson LoRa. Well, actually, it's a Locon I'm working on right now. So there's one of two things that's going on, which I figured out, is that it's not mixing well, and or this person trained a style and he trained a face at the same time on accident. So it will only make that one person's face. So if I go back to that LoRa model page, that looks really, really cool there. Scroll down, there's no other people generating stuff, just this person who made it. And it's been out for 2 months, so other people probably had problems with it. So that's a big, signal to me to delete that LoRa. Stable Diffusion, models, LoRa. What was the file name again? Hit download, model save tensor, glitch WPad. Actually just Control C on that. Go over here, hit Control F, which puts me in the search box up here. Control V, find it, and delete it. I don't want to accidentally use it again and get frustrated and spend hours of my life not making something. I did end up getting this good of results from it. It wasn't glitching it, and I really had to fight it to try to get close to Millie Gibson's face, but it's still not doing her face, and I'm not getting very much glitch. It's glitching the background, though. So weird. But why I showed you all that is because a lot of the LoRa's and embeddings that I use, I found this way. Just like looking at people's prompts. Here's the third one. So I'm going to show you what happened when I tried to generate that. Looks like this freaky whatever. Not as interesting as this. This weird alien, maybe robot, whatever, holding a heart. That was interesting for me. And Xeno Diffusion is the checkpoint model. And I made sure I downloaded it, ran that. This is what it looks like when I try to combine it with the LoRa for Anna Kendrick. And I did some more prompting. I got closer to Anna Kendrick's face by doing more work on the prompt. And I had it full body and walking down a runway and stuff. See, I would not have discovered these art styles or like these concepts. So if we go back here, we see this interesting term right here. I've never heard of before. Haute couture? Couture? Maybe it's French? I don't know. I don't know how to say it. If I Google it, It is French, okay. It's a creation of exclusive, custom-fitted, high-end fashion design. So that's what gave me the idea to put her on a runway. And it generated stuff with big shoulders, so I thought that would be really cool as a Blade Runner cosplay. So I wrote that in, but it didn't know what that was, and the shoulder pads went away from the outfit. All right, part 2 of this video is how to have automatic1111 generate 3 or more, or however many prompts you want to do in a sequence, like while you sleep or walk away, or like I said before, epic poop time, or go spend time with your family and watch a movie and eat dinner and whatever. So I felt like working with TurboVision-XL today, and I scrolled through here and looked at different images to try their prompts. And this is the first one, and the second one, and the third one's actually a combination of this Darth Maul with this blue hair, whatever is happening right now. And I decided to try them all with the same face Laura that I trained for Aubrey Plaza. So there's the first one, there's the second one, and here's the third one. So let's break it down. I've got the Laura mentioned here, and I turned it down during testing and forgot to turn it back up, but it still looks good, so it's at 0.5. I normally do 0.7. This is at 100%, and then that's at 50%, but those are both using the same token. And this is the actual name of the actress, so it's probably why it still looks good, even though this is at such a low percentage, because I have that, and I've got 75% if you combine this with that. I've got 100% plus 50% over here, so 150. What's 150 times 50%? Oh, 75. Okay. It's all math. Because I accidentally had this as well as over here for the token, and I forgot to turn this back up to 7, because I like to do 0.7 and then go from there. It's combining this 100 with this 50%. That's 150%. It cuts this 150 in half. Anyways, moving on. Here's 2 negative embeddings that you're going to want to grab, and I'm going to have them linked in the descriptables, obviously. I'm going to have a bunch of SD 1.5 negative embeddings in the description, as well as these 2 SDXL negative embeddings. If you don't know where embeddings go, so see if I'm going to download this one, this Peopleneg, double check which version of Stable Diffusion it's for, hit download, get that, AI stuff, wherever you have your Stable Diffusion folder. Stable Diffusion Web UI for me. For my SDXL, I keep them all in my SDXL dev folder, /embeddings. And then, so it says SDXL in the menu where I choose embeddings and everything. I've made another folder. So now you can look at the whole folder path. Wherever you have your AI stuff, Stable Diffusion, actual folder you cloned from GitHub, and I have a special name on mine. And I'll show you later in the video how to do that. And then embeddings. And then if you want to organize stuff, you put another folder inside of there. See, I already have it right here, as well as a couple others. Here's another example of organizing folders while we're here. I go into models and then Laura, SDXL, people testing, and when I had to go through like a bajillion different Lauras for Billie Eilish testing, I put them in there. Still need to delete those. So how did I combine this concept with this concept to make that? Started with this one actually, and I was like, meh. So I went back to the model page and I found this, and my generation I didn't like too much, and I wanted to go back and add some of this matte looking art style. Down here, if you look, they got Da Vinci, as in, you know, the painter, 1.3 weight, but then flat 2D, and this is changing the art style. So is illustration. And this one, blue-haired girl, I got rid of this Laura because I don't want to mess around with mixing Lauras, because that's a whole can of worms. It's fun, you can do it, but I didn't want to do that this time. Took all of this, and it still wasn't changing her hair to the ice blue because Aubrey Plaza is a brunette. So I had to increase the weight by putting triple parentheses around that part. And I took the part from the Darth Maul image, and that's all this right here. And then, like I said, I like to do my face Lauras that I trained with 0.7. And then 50% of class prompt that comes out of that Laura, and then 50% for the actress face that's already trained into the model. And that's how I got that. But now you're gonna see how I combine these. So normally I have like different concepts that I test, and I get them all ironed out and perfect. It's where I have 2 different or more concepts that they use the same negative prompt and they use the same all of this. First, you test each prompt on a separate tab by just opening a new tab and going to Stable Diffusion again. And then you test each prompt with your A detailer. A detailer is a great tool for improving mostly the face and the eyes, and sometimes you can get the hands to look better. I've done a video on it before about how to install the plugin and how to use it, and you can click the card right here to watch that video later. But after you get the prompt, doing what you want, and then you test the A detailer to make sure it makes the face even better, and then after that you test the high-res.fix and get all those settings perfect. There's a section down here, normally where you do your XYZ plot prompt. There's prompts from file or text box. You select that. And see where it says insert prompts at the start? That means whatever you put here goes above this, okay? So there's my LoRa information for the face I want to try. And these are each of the different prompts that I spent all day today working on to make this video, just so you guys can see this trick. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna basically take this and put it together with this. The word in programming is concatenate. Embedding, bad dream and unreal. All right, boring geek stuff. But imagine that this is here and then this goes on the end. So probably want to put a comma at the end of that. And then this goes on the end. Like that. And this one has it on the end. But you don't need to put all that in there. Or you can have these three be completely different, and you can leave this box completely empty. But they all get the same negative prompt. They all get the same high res, the same resolution settings, batch, and everything. So I could batch this, and I usually do this. If I have this idea and I want to do 2 or 3 different things, I'll put like a 30 there. And then I'll have 3 of these tabs set up the exact same way. And then I'll change the resolution for the other 2. I'll have a square one, a tall one, and a wide one. This is the output right here. It's got this picture, and that picture. All completely different styles from one setup. Actually, speaking of, I want to hit 30 right here and remember to hit Control-Enter on this before I go to bed. All right, the next section is when you have a few things that you're comparing against each other, but you know just looking at one image, or one seed, I mean, you know, one thing doing the different ways isn't going to be enough. You need to put things next to each other, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I used this method while setting up to film the previous video I did about testing all the different LoRa settings that I read about online or saw in videos. If you want to watch that video, here it is up here. You know how it works. So the first step you do is you test whatever one of something you like, and make sure it's coming out semi-decent. Forewarning, this LoRa didn't really come out the way I wanted. It's supposed to look like Courtney Ford. Here's what she looks like. Okay, that looks completely different. There's some similarities, but it definitely needs work. But in this example, let's say you had a bunch of different LoRas you wanted to try. Say you've trained a LoRa and you have it output every 100 steps. Whatever method you use to get a list of all the LoRas. So let's say I've got 5 LoRas and their file names look like this. Go like this, hit Control-C, Control-H, that's get your find and replace. And since I already have it in a clipboard, it automatically puts that in there. And let's replace that with a comma, hit replace all. Now it looks like that. Now this part over here is redundant, so I can get rid of that. Control-H, tab down and erase that and hit replace all. Now I gotta delete all these line feed or carriage returns, whatever you want to call them, and erase that comma off the end. I also want like 5 random seeds, and random is -1, comma, -1. So I'd copy that. So I'll scroll it down. I'm actually running a test right now, so when this is done, I should be able to show it to you. I don't do high res for these typically, and I'll try them with and without a detailer, and it will show me also how a detailer is going across a broad spectrum of generations and whatever I'm testing. But in this case, I'm doing it with a detailer just so you could see what's going on here. So you want your script to be set to XYZ plot and your X type to be seed, and paste in your 5 negative ones. Oops, there's a return at the beginning. I got that cleared out of there. Prompt SR for the second one. And then in this case, you know, you would paste that in, but I'm going to show you what this is that I've got going on in there, because I'm going to show you another extra bonus tip. while we're here. Sometimes when I'm feeling really, really creative or ornery, I don't know what's going on with me when I do this, I like to combine celebrity faces to make a brand new face that doesn't exist and stick it on Facebook, and people are like, that looks like this other person you've never heard of, Rob. Check it out. I'm like, okay. But like I said earlier in the video, I normally like to run my face lures at 0.7. That's 70%. But what's 0.7 divided by 2 if I wanted to combine two people? It's 0.35, right? So here's my Courtney Ford at 0.35. Here's the instance prompt of her at 0.5 and the instance prompt with her at 0.5. And I should have changed these both to 0.25. Oh, man. I'm leaving my mistake in here. Interrupt, 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 interrupt. 0.25, 0.25, Control Enter. The reason is because I want to combine her 50-50 with someone else. And her actual name that's in the model, Realistic Vision, 25%, combined with the instance prompt of her in the LoRa, that's 25%, adds up to 50%, combined with Diane Guerrero, with her two 25s or 50%. So these two 50% together equal 100%. And these two 0.35s together, they equal 0.70, because I like my face lures to run it at 0.70 for my testing. But check this out. I'm testing 3 different faces to see what would happen if I took Courtney Ford and combined her with Diane Guerrero, or Jennifer Lawrence, or Kristen Ritter. So check this out. All of these Lauras, I put a 0.35 right there and right there. Diane Guerrero got a 0.25 and a 0.25. Kristen Ritter got a 0.25 and a 0.25. But Jennifer Lawrence, I put a 0.5 here because this is one of my earlier Lauras before I discovered that if I used a name like this, it would automatically combine my Laura with that same token already in the model. That's why I started getting rid of the space and changing a number in the last vowel. So it wouldn't do that because it would see this as something unique and not mix it. Now the trick was I did a test earlier with commas in here because I do my commas like this to separate the tokens, but then it detected each one of these as a text to replace the original text. Ugh. So I took those commas out. But this prompt search and replace, what it's doing in this case is I've got this line here, which if I copy this and hit here and hit Control F, it's exactly the same as this line with the comma at the end. And then this line, and then this line. And I did like this to make it all one line. See how underneath it looks exactly the same? So that it's gonna do the same 5 random seeds mixing with this, and then this, and then this. And this is it, like not being done or whatever. And this is me not wasting my life away staring at it. Let's do something else right now. All right, I'm back. It's done. It's done. What? Huh. Check it out. See that blank white box there? It's because I accidentally left a comma at the end. If you ever do that, it basically just erases this or whatever part you were replacing. So I don't have to blur this. I'm gonna have to save this and redact some of the stuff that happened. All right, some quick editing in GIMP, and here is what we've got. See how it generated 5 random seeds? You can scroll over to see that they're random. There's no sequence to them at all. And this is combining with Diane Guerrero for the first one. Ignore the weird stuff with the lights. I was messing around with a magic LoRa that I found, and I just kept using it because it sometimes makes something interesting to look at. Well, before I scroll down, I put nope signs. You know, this is why I like Stable Diffusion over stuff like Midjourney. Not because I can make women's jumbaloos, but because I can see when my prompt is doing something I don't want, and I can fix it. Stuff like Midjourney will just change your prompt invisibly, and you won't know. And if you do it a bunch of times, you can get your account banned. And who knows if they're gonna leak that information? Huh? Oh, so-and-so likes to make women's jungaloos, big round jungaloos with nips. All right, this second one is very interesting. This is Jennifer Lawrence mixed with her. If I can get that other Laura from Courtney Ford ironed out, this would look fantastic, probably. Oh, Kristen Ritter, too. This is like a really beautiful non-celebrity person face. That's amazing. And then this is the accidental oops one with the comma that made nothing happen. And in my opinion, those are better than her face by itself. Huh. These little mistakes that show us stuff we wouldn't have thought of before. All right, section 5 is use negative embeddings from random places that you've seen around. Here's FastNegativeEmbedding. Oh wait, contest nag, I was trying to read the thing. And Easynegative. Like, check out this one. I like how they have the example right here. Negative prompt has Easynegative. What they're saying here is the negative prompt only has the Easynegative in there. And this one has nothing in the negative prompt. Look at the hands here and look at the hands there. Still kind of a jacked up hand there, but there's also better outlines for this. And even though this is an artistic style like anime, I've had success using it for realistic stuff. But speaking of realistic, negative embedding for Realistic Vision 2.0. It still works with Realistic Vision 6. When I'm having problems and I don't know whether or not my negative prompt is affecting it, I always go down to my textual inversion, erase whatever I have in there. Sometimes I have this all filled up with stuff that I got off of Civid AI post. And I type fast, and I click it. And I type easy, and I click it. I put a comma in between. And then hit Control Enter and try that. And then I can tweak it a little bit later, like saying, I don't want somebody's nipples. Write that. I don't want NSFW or whatever. Like, I don't want them wearing a tank top. I want them wearing a dress. I said a dress in a positive prompt, so I write tank top in the negative prompt. So I have all of these linked in the descriptor what's it's below. Keep your SD 1.5 and your SDXL embeddings and lures and whatever separate. I have two completely different running versions, and I just skipped this section, so we're going to do this section next, which is the better use of the command line. But what reminded me of that is you don't have to have two different versions of automatic1111 installed. It just helps me get it straight in my brain which one I'm running, because you can't mix the checkpoints and the models. Sometimes you can with comfy UI, but it's this bizarre spaghetti mess of nodes and crap all over the place. And I don't need all that in my life. I've only got so much brain space. 900 years of time and space. You can't expect me to remember everything. Now, before I go on to the final section, is a self-promo part of the video. This is not a LoRa. It is a Locon. I always found these interesting because they train twice as much stuff as a LoRa does. It is a LoRa, but it has convolution something. What's it's in it? More info on that in a future video that you definitely want to be subscribed for once I could figure out these things, because you use Koya to train them, and half the stuff in the settings is completely different than you would do a LoRa. And here is one of my better examples of the test I've done. Millie Gibson, I thought I would do her because she's got a unique scar on her face that is not just a vanity, she shaved her eyebrow for some reason. No, she has a scar right here, and I was able to train that, which FYI, this proves why you should not flip pictures when you're training a model. Because people's faces are asymmetric. You do not want to train a symmetric face. I'm also working on figuring out how to get Dream Booth to train a decent checkpoint model, but I took a break from that because Dream Booth looks completely different in 2024 than it did in 2023 when all the other people made videos. And now moving on to the final section of this video, which is better use of the command line. So we're gonna use this as an example. I have this folder where I've got a bunch of LoRa's that I tested before deciding to use this one to demonstrate on this video. Okay, and if I type Explorer CD, this is like the reverse. And all the other YouTubers, they're telling you how to open command line from the File Explorer window where you are by typing CMD in the address bar. And I'm gonna tell you why not to do that in a second. But what about in reverse? What if you're in the folder in command line and you accidentally closed the Explorer window or you can't find it? Explorer space %, CD, %, and press enter. And it opens you up to this folder. Now, when I was doing XYZ plot testing down here, before I was doing this particular test, when I wanted to try every single one of these LoRa's, because I did this many tests, which is 13, but each one had like 10 LoRa files that were, well, Locon files that were spat out. And I decided I wanted to do number 700 of all of them, and then I went back and I tried number 900 of this one. But regardless, when I'm in this folder, and I'll show you how to get in this folder, there's different plugins. Like you can Google for right-click open in CMD Windows. Type that into Google. And then you can have one where you right-click and you see open command window here. This is one of my favorite ones. I also like this one, which comes with open shell start menu, but ask me if you want me to do a video on how to install this app, which is a better start menu than the default Windows start menu, and way better than the Windows 11 one. But you can also have it put extra buttons in File Explorer for you. Like that, and now I'm in that folder. But if you don't want to mess with all that, hit Windows button R on your keyboard, type CMD, and then press enter while you're in this run box. Now you have this, and you want CD space /D space double quote Alt Tab to get back over here, Alt D to go to the top, Control C to copy the path, Alt Tab over here, right click to paste, or hit double quote. And don't cry and say, but Rob, I don't know all those keyboard shortcuts. Yes, you do. You just learned them. Even if you don't memorize them all, you know what I did. Windows button R is the one you want to memorize for sure, and CMD, and then you hit enter. And then you can click back and forth if you want, but there's two things about using the keyboard shortcuts versus using the mouse, is that it's less fatiguing on your muscles all the way up into your spine, because you're reaching for the mouse less, and it's less fatiguing on this knuckle, so you don't get carpal tunnel or arthritis as soon. This is true stuff, okay? I'm not a doctor, but I read about this. And the second reason is it adds up to a lot of time. And when you spend less time working on the computer trying to do a sequence of things, then your brain can focus better. Now I'm in that folder. If I type dir and press enter, okay, that's nice. Dir means directory listing, but I don't need the dates and the file size for doing like an XYZ test. Dir /B, and /B means plain. How did I find that out? I put a question mark. And I read these things. B, use bare format, no heading information or summary. Dir /B looks like this. I can copy this and hit Windows button R again and type notepad, press enter, Control V to paste. And what I did was I reorganized these so that they were in order. And I did that trick that I showed you earlier. Copy pasted that into automatic1111 and then ran the test and worked on something else. Now I'm going to show you why you don't want to hit CMD in the address bar. So let's say I'm in this folder. I can navigate using history and the up button. Yes, it has history. There's no history right now because I opened File Explorer directly to this window. But if I press Alt and up on my keyboard. Again, I'm trying to use the keyboard as much as possible, not use the mouse. Alt and up goes into what's called the parent folder, which is the folder that is in. As you can see, I put my instance prompt followed by an underscore, followed by locon, so that when I'm in here, I see this. So I told you earlier I was going to show you about how to organize these folders and have them show up in here. That's what I mean. All my verified people that I like these worked here, except for these Billie Eilish's ones. Like earlier, I told you I went through like 1 billion of those trying to get those to work. I need to remember to clean those up. But anyways, people-testing is another folder where I tested from. Now I press Alt up again. I'm in Models. Alt up again. I'm in Stable Diffusion Web UI. Now if I need to go back, Alt and left will do the back. Alt and left. Alt and left. Alt and, oh, wait, I went back too far. I'm going to go forward in time. Yes, we're all time travelers here. Alt and right, as long as you have a history for next. But if I type CMD up here, yes, it's going to open me to this folder. Yay! Sarcasm. I can't do that anymore. Alt up, alt left, alt right. It breaks it. Why? Because the history is this now. See that? I click in the address bar and it's not showing me the folder path where I am anymore. It's showing me the command I typed. Why does it even work in the first place? Because when you type something in here, in File Explorer anyways, it first checks to see if that's a folder it knows about. And then it checks to see if that's a command in Windows it knows about. Like, for example, ncpa.cpl. That's going to open up my network connections, okay? And these belong to VMware that I use for running virtual machines, like how I make my screenshots for Windows 11. Because I refuse to run Windows 11! It's trash! Anyways, but if I Alt-D up there, still got the path to network connections control panel applet. I don't want that! So people, please stop telling me in the comments to type CMD in the address bar, because I refuse! Sorry, I calmed down a little bit. I've moved past that. I do better things with my life now. So I apologize that I do something that's you didn't know about. But now you know about it. All right, now I'm going to show you how to make separate install folders for your different Stable Diffusion versions. So that's how you go up one folder in the command line with cd ... But this is where I put all my Stable Diffusion stuff. If I type dir /a:/d and press enter, and that's just showing me folders. That's what a:/d means. If I do a:/-d, it only shows files. Let's go back to D. Got my Koya in there. A Dream Booth thingy that I tried, I couldn't figure it out, and it's a standalone thingy, what's it? Chainer, when I was playing around with trying to make better upscalers when there's already an awesome one built into automatic1111 that I discovered later on. But here's all my Stable Diffusions. So check it out. I'm in light mode because I'm in the wrong browser, whatever. I'm on the automatic1111 GitHub repo. Hit code, copy, URL. You guys already know how to do this. Git clone, space, paste the URL, space, stable-diffusion, -web UI, whatever you want to type at the end. And I saw that on a completely different AI I was testing. Some videos showed me how to do that, and I do that from now on so that I can keep stuff separated with unique names. Now the next command line trick is showing you how to make copies of batch files. So here's my Stable Diffusion Web UI folder that I use for my SD 1.5 stuff. Blah, 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 there's a lot going on here, and I need to clean it up because I need to concentrate and do this fast. So I'm gonna type CLS in here to clear the screen. Again, that's CLS, and enter, it just clears the screen. And I want dir, directory listing, show me all the batch files. And it's star.bat, all the batch files. See, I've got a few of those. I was testing some stuff there, that's why it's got the word test in that one. I tested SDXL in this one and decided to separate it out later. But first of all, you want like a web UI -vanilla. If I type notepad webui.bat, that's the one you don't want to mess with, right? You make the web UI-user as I described in my video about how to install and set up automatic1111. It's a long video if you already have automatic1111 and you still want to see maybe if I got some ideas you haven't tried yet. Just skim through it. I've got everything chaptered at the bottom. You might find something you need. But let's say -user.bat. Notepad, I open that up. Okay, it looks like this. For example, you want a vanilla one. Copy web UI-user.bat, web UI-vanilla.bat. And I've already done this. I'll show you why. Command line args and everything else is blank with nothing at the end. When you train embeddings, you have to have no arguments running, so nothing gets tweaked in the memory while the training goes. And my SDXL one runs medium VRAM, because when SDXL first came out, 24 gigs of VRAM in my RTX 3090 wasn't enough, so I had to tell it to use less VRAM. But if you have different requirements for different workflows, you can just save them whatever name you want in a batch file. And doing it in here and using the notepad command to open it up after you make a copy of an existing one is a lot faster and easier than digging through all these weird looking files that, in my opinion, should not all be chilling in the root folder. They should be in a subfolder, so all you see is your batch files. But hey, I didn't make automatic1111. And here's the bonus section. I guess a sixth thing in there, which is a upscaler that I discovered recently. I've been using it for some of my generations, as well as some of the cleanup that I do when I'm upscaling pictures that I find online of celebrities, but I need them to be bigger. So check out this upscaler. The reason why I used it for this particular thing was because I was doing the test with the 3 different prompts that had different styles, and it's pretty universal, so I didn't have to mess around with that one. You remember that part of the video, don't you? You were here. If you don't remember when I set up 3 different prompts to run in sequence from one generation, or whatever you want to call it, you might want to watch this same video all over again. Anyways, I'm going to have this linked in the descriptive what's-its, but here it is. I saw it in someone else's prompt that I dropped from Civet AI into automatic1111. Then I had to Google it and find it. Universal upscaler v2 neutral. And the file name is this stuff. But I'm not going to make you type that and Google it. That's how I did it. Actually, I copy-pasted it out of an error message, because when you don't have the same upscaler they do, then you try to generate the image, and error will appear right over here. And I copy-pasted that and Googled it, and I found this page, and you download it. And so far, most of the upscalers I found on the internet work in both SD 1.5 and SDXL. So you go in your Stable Diffusion folder, and then you models, and then Erzgern, or whatever that says, and hit save. But I already have it right there. And if you want to Google some of these other ones, here. They're on my screen. Like this one's good for removing JPEG artifacts from images. Like for your training data. There's one that's good for anime, another anime, kind of universal, super scale, kind of universal. Yandir's anime, realistic, obviously realistic. Universal you can use for anything. Ultra Sharp's anything. Huge Peeps is realistic, mostly for faces. This one's realistic, mostly for faces. Super Scale is a more universal one. DigiPaint is any artistic style like drawing or anything that's not realistic. Skin Diff Detail, I tried that. I don't really like that as much as some of the others, but I used to have a huge list, and so far it's been reduced to about those ones. So that's it for this video. I don't even know. What should I point over here? I need more people to help me out by watching my skits. Watch this skit I did with my son. It's freaking hilarious. I do skits sometimes, and sometimes I do skits with my son. He's got a great sense of humor. And then whatever YouTube thinks is best, and then you can subscribe to the channel over there. Yep, and I will see you guys in the next video.